This is Jamie Drummond with Good Food Revolution. I'm sitting here at Bar Italia in Toronto with none other than Jason Collett, Toronto-based singer-songwriter. How are you today, Jason?
I'm very well, thank you, Jamie.
Now, I believe you grew up just outside of Toronto.
That's right.
Outside of Brampton?
Yeah, well, Bramalea. It's officially called Brampton now, but Bramalea is where I grew up, yeah.
Now, how important was food to you when you were growing up? What kind of place did food have within your family when you were growing up?
Well, the popular meals in my household were shake and bake and like a canned tuna on top of mashed potatoes with a can of condensed mushroom soup and then a pineapple on top. That was a real treat.
My mother made something reasonably similar to that.
that was my childhood, yeah.
Canned pineapple.
Some Duncan Hines if we were lucky.
Sorry, what was Duncan?
Duncan Hines,
what's that?
A quick mix, a cake mix.
Yeah. Canned pineapple actually was a regular. It was a staple in my mother's recipe book. Actually.
Yeah. Although on weekends, my grandmother, my father's mother, who grew up in India. My father was born in India. She only ever cooked Indian, and that was actually my first glimpse into real food. She was fantastic cook. We used to joke that she put curry in her cornflakes. Everything was Indian all the time. So that was a bit of a twist for a white suburban kid.
And when did food begin to become important for you?
It actually started to become important for me when I briefly moved out of the city with my young family to try to live in the country. We were a little over romantic about it all. But I met a bunch of folks that had done something similar, but that were older than I was, and they were mostly sort of organic farmers. Mm-hmm. Actually, it was around Michael Schmidt's farm in the town of Durham, around there.
Did you get to meet Michael Schmidt at that
Several
point?
times, yeah.
Oh.
Like his whole thing was a real focal point. Up the street from him was the what's that school? The Steiner School, Waldorf School.
Yes.
This is part of the reason I actually didn't stay in the country. I was there for a couple of years, but it's really hard to assimilate because you ultimately only end up associating with other urban refugees.
Yes.
And it's kind of hard to penetrate folks that have always lived there, and rightly so, because we all come with this idyllic idea, and so their food is not good enough for us. We start growing our own.
So you were growing your own food up there?
Well, I wasn't, but several people were, and that's where we were getting our food from. And that was my real introduction, the biodynamic farm there, and Michael's whole thing, and his whole milk thing, and then friends that were an extension of all that had farms and were growing organic, and I started eating organic. I started drinking like milk off of Amish farms, and it was mind-blowing. I grew up with powdered milk in Bramalea. That was one of my chores. I had to mix it. I had to get the lumps out of the powdered milk, and it was disgusting. It was vile, but it was just not in my mom's budget. So drinking milk with real cream on the top, it was an absolute luxury, and that was the first sort of light that went off, that like there's something beyond shake and bake.
Now, today you find yourself touring. How many months of the year?
It's kind of erratic, but I don't know, maybe 2-3 months. 4, sometimes 4, depending on how soon after a record is released. Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure how much truth there is in your Wikipedia entry, but apparently you demand only organic foodstuffs.
Well, see, this is all Malcolm's fault, because I did an interview with him years ago when it was Grandma Lotta, and because it sticks out from all the music-based interviews, people bring that up as a topical point, and somehow that's snowballed, and I'm some food fetishist who's only like, or demands nothing but organic food on my rider, much like Kiss would demand only the red Smarties or something like that. Anyways, yeah, it's blown way out of proportion, and I'm forever having to correct people about it.
I've spoken with I know a number of tour managers who take quite large bands around the US and Canada.
Yeah.
And I make a point of feeding them well when they come to Toronto. And now certain bands have come to expect a good feed when they come to Toronto because their food on tour is notoriously terrible.
Well, it's true, and it really depends on the geography, and the middle of North America is an absolute catastrophe for the most part. I've watched it get worse and worse even in the 10 years that I've been touring, and towns are virtually interchangeable in just the fast food chains that are just everywhere now. So that sort of regional mom and pop character that was there 20, 30 years ago has been obliterated for the most part. But you get to the coasts and you get something much better. The West Coast is fantastic all the way up and down, and I really look forward to it. You look forward to large urban places for repeat visits, as your knowledge sort of grows of what's there. So those life on the road can be rather monotonous, and a meal can really break up your day, and a good meal can make your week. So I've had some really fantastic ones, and they've become great memories, and I look forward to going back to certain places for repeat experiences.
Now, how are your experiences of, say, Europe and further afield, outside of North America?
Well, Europe in general, when I first started touring Europe, we would repeatedly get our minds blown, because of the way we were treated. It's just essentially the culture is just really important there. So even the people that work at the club, the staff, the loaders, the sound people, they all still have strong unions, and they're very professional about how they operate. But then suddenly, as an artist, you're actually treated as an artist, and like often in North America, the experience is you show up and there's a bag of chips and some stuff you just don't want. But in Europe, they're all catered affairs. And food is fantastic. The hospitality in general is just really fantastic. But it's all because all the way down the line, it's all considered important. It's important because it's culture, even like playing as an indie rock band in Europe, you get people dressed up, older people dressed up, coming out because it's been in the paper, and it's no different than going out to the theater. You're taking in something that's culturally important. So it always kind of blew our minds at first. We just thought, this can't be right. Somebody's making a mistake here. They think we're some goddamn royalty or something, because you're just growing up here. You're accustomed to just being the lowest rung of the ladder.
Now, getting a bit closer to home, when you're actually back here in Toronto, do you do much cooking yourself?
I do. I really like it. I mean,
rumor has it you're a master soup maker. That's one thing I've never managed to do myself.
No, I love making soups. I'm a total hack, but I'm also like a hack as a musician too. So, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I got certain things that I'm pretty good at pulling off. Yeah.
What was the last thing you made for your family?
Well, breakfast this morning.
Okay.
You know, but like breakfast is, you know, a little bit of almond butter, a little bit of cheese on toast, and everybody's good to go.
No pineapple or...
No pineapple this morning. No.
Now, with you traveling around the world and doing much with your musical projects, you must have the opportunity to eat in some interesting restaurants. What would you say the most interesting of those establishments has been in your history as a musician?
Well, there's a few. In the last spring, I was on the West Coast with. I was just opening up for the Weekend Ends solo, and I was on their bus and we started off in Seattle, and then we were heading to San Francisco, so we had a day off in between, and it was a Sunday. We landed somewhere. It was just on the southern tip of Oregon, and I don't even remember the name of the town. I'm just terrible that way. It's my early onset Alzheimer's, but it's this classic scenario that I was describing. And oh, hey, here's my like daughter's daycare. She's gonna be in here. Hi. You're welcome, bud. That's so funny. And so it's this classic scenario where you stumble off the bus Sunday morning, and I'm outside of a Kentucky Fried Chicken next to a Wendy's, next to a McDonald's, and further on down. It's ridiculous, and this is where we have to spend the day. But thank God for the internet. One of the guys who's on the internet discovered this fantastic little organic farm on the edge of town, and we booked a reservation that night for dinner. The whole crew, we took a few taxis out to this farm, and they grow most of everything on there, and they got local wines, and we had a completely idyllic dinner out in the garden under fruit trees. Got to wander through the garden. They had a herb garden, and beautiful flowers, and this bucolic pastoral scene, and those are the things you remember. It was like, you know, that was the meal that made that tour, you know, it was beautiful. I will always remember it. You know, and then there's been other times, like in Kansas. My first time in Kansas, we wanted to get some barbecue, and we asked around, and we're told, you know, there's this place, but if you really want authentic barbecue, you got to go to this gas station on the edge of town. We go to this gas station on the edge of town, and it's a Friday night, and there. It doesn't look like anything. It looks like a gas station, a small variety store, and then they've got this little side kitchen. People are lined up, paper plates, plastic cutlery, and it was the best pulled pork I've ever had. And then, I kid you not, a week later, my bass player, whose his name's Michael Clive, he's a chef, he's reading that Anthony Bourdain book, and he screams out in the back of the van, "Oh my God, Anthony Bourdain says this," and I forget the name of the restaurant, "is the best barbecue he's ever eaten."
Really?
Yeah, there you go. That's one of those things I'll always remember. You know, I mean, there's great opportunities traveling for that. I mean, as well, the very first time I went to Europe with Broken Social Scene, we were in doing a festival in Britain. It was this little small festival called La Route du Rock, and you know, we'd set up and we were getting ready to play, and then there was dinner time, and we went into this beautiful old barn, and they had white tablecloths, long tables, and we asked where we lined up to get our plates, and we were told, no, nobody lines up. You get down, you sit at your table. They put bottles of wine out on the table, and they had service. It's just that thing, you know, like we just weren't used to being treated like that. But they were insulted that we would even ask where we line up to get our food. course they were going to serve us, and of course everything was cooked hot and fresh on the spot, and it was a fantastic gourmet meal. But that was just business as usual. That, for us, it was absolutely mind-blowing.
Now, with you being a proud Canadian, what does Canadian food mean to you?
Beyond maple syrup?
Beyond maple syrup.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it means, but I think it's become beyond any country now. It's really become a regional. I know I'm getting really fantastic regional options in Toronto, as I am in Vancouver, when I visit. So beyond that, I mean, I guess my answer to that question is like I'd answer any question about Canada. It's really elusive. I don't rightly know.
Well, Jason, thank you very much for joining us today at Bar Italia in Toronto for
My
Good Food
pleasure.
Revolution. And hopefully we'll catch up with you again at some time in the near future.
I'd be happy to. Thanks,
Take care.
Jane.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.